in my research, I discovered a product which I haven't heard anybody talk about. And it's by 3M, and it's specifically called Windo Weld. And the name is in the actual, or the clue is in the actual name of the product. It's called Windo, W-I-N-D-O, Windo Weld. And it's OEM strength, easy caulking, fast curing, and it is a urethane adhesive. Now, I bought 2 tubes of this. This is not cheap. This is like $31 a tube. And it says on the can, it's not for retail sale, so it's a professional use product. However, I did buy it from AutoZone, which was really interesting. It took me taking me about a week to find this product, and then a lot of research. And from what the manufacturer said, it's supposed to be super high quality strength above and beyond what the auto glass users use in terms of urethane adhesive. So I've decided I'm going to take this, and this is a spare tube. I bought 2 tubes just in case, because the trick here is have enough ready, because you don't want to run out halfway through the job because this thing starts curing. It gives you about 20 to 30 minutes of manipulation time before it starts curing, and that's really, really good. So this is 3M Windo Weld super fast urethane, part number 08609. That's it. So what I decided to do was to not take the glass off. When I looked at my frame here, it looked like from the inside I was able to put something in there, prise open the gap between the rubber and the glass, and my idea was to squeeze some of this product into there. And you'll see in a moment how I did that, because I'll do it in fast mode and you can have a look. But at the same time, I decided to do a little bit of test and see what the product looks like. So first thing is, I decided to put a blob of Windo Weld on here, and this was yesterday, and it's pretty solid, and it's got like 35% flexibility, which I thought was important. It's not been 24 hours yet, so I finished the job yesterday at I think 3 p.m. It's now 8:20 the next morning, and to be honest with you, it's really, really solid. I mean it's flexible, but it's really, really solid. Now, here's where it gets interesting. I'm going to put this on a stand a minute. Oops. Right, so because what I was worried about was, how do I know that how this thing performs? Because it's in the frame, and I felt I was a little bit blind as to how it performed. So as well as putting some on here, I wanted to get a sense of what strength this would bond with. So I got a couple of pieces of wood, and I didn't put too much on, but I put some Windo Weld in there, and I put some Windo Weld on a vertical piece of wood, and I glued it together. And I've got to say, Jesus, it's, I can't easily pry it open. I mean, it's pretty solid. I mean, I have stood on it, and I weigh over 200 pounds. I'll just give you a demo of Windo Weld. The question is has it held in here? So, don't know is the answer, but I'm going to, if I've got this correct, put this one, must be this way, that way. I'm not sure which way this goes. Oh, this way, it could be this one. It's pretty solid. Looks pretty solid. So let's So I have put, certainly, you know, having put the gas struts on, we still seem to be in the right place. And just to show you, you'll see in a minute, I've got a good, well, there's a little bit of an air pocket here, but generally I've got a good seal all the way along. And you'll see the video in a moment of how I put that in. So the question is, did it work? Okay, so that's the boot. Now, the trick was, when I actually undid the latch, this would actually come out and it would catch. Here we go. Seems to be holding. The question is, how long will it stay like that? Not sure. Let's try a bit more. The frame seems to be still in place. And as you can see, what I did, and you'll see in the video, I masked off to keep a nice clean edge. Now, because the rubber was still bonded on the edges, I was unable to get any window weld in there, but I've got it right across the whole top edge. And I'm thinking this might be the ticket. Could be it. I don't know. I mean, so many people on the forum said, you know, that after a year, this will come apart again. I guess that's the test. I will keep people informed as it goes on. So at the moment, I'm pretty pleased with that. And what that means now, I can now start connecting these wires together, because I couldn't have the struts on because it kept delaminating. So you can see, oh, that was the first time I tried it actually. A little bit of residue from the Windo Weld. You can see what it looks like on the inside. It's not bad. There was already some crap here before, but I think I've done an okay job. You know, it seems to have held it. And I think because it's on a flat surface and it's a lateral force, I think it's going to hold really well, like I just showed you with the blocks. So the good thing about that, I can now get on and get the interior light working, get the heated rear window screen working, and you know, get this back together, and there we have it. It works really well. Interesting. Hey, thanks for watching. And next up is actually the video of me actually doing it. Okay. Here's the theory.
Losing time, I'm fading fast. I just wanna make it last. Try to let go of the past. I close my eyes, embrace the blast. Sleepless nights and headaches stack. Restlessness to hell and back. What's my purpose? What do I grab? A slippery surface, a heart attack. And sometimes you just gotta believe there's something that'll give you relief. There's something that'll have what you need. What you need. We're broken, it's tragic, we're not all elastic, but maybe there's magic, believe you could have it. And I know of sadness, the anxious and panic, the infinite vastness of all that is blackness.